Hey, they did pretty good on that for the start of the year. All these guys remembered what the sign means.
I didn't forget.
When I started Cub Scout pack in the fall, they all have forgotten what the sign means. So we've got a, under the new format, suggested for roundtables, we stay together until a discussion period. Tonight we're staying together through the discussion period. And we'll tell you all about that stuff after we have our opening with our guests. 234G is going to show us how to do the Scout Oath and Law and do our opening ceremony with sign language.
We're missing two. They're in the bathroom.
Find out wherever.
Yep.
Bob.
Yes,
What is it?
candles.
Are they on sale again?
Yep.
Well, if Fonzie brings it in, expect it because the spiders flying all around it.
All right.
I don't want to touch it now.
I'll touch it later. You don't have to touch it.
And then there's some things in there.
Good evening, you're 234G. Thank you for having us here to teach you the sign language that we learned. We learned the oath and the law.
On my honor, I'll do my best to do my duty to God and my country, to obey the Scout law, to help other people at all times, to keep myself physically strong, mentally awake, and morally straight. A Scout is trustworthy, loyal, helpful, friendly, courteous, kind, obedient, cheerful, thrifty, brave, clean, and reverent.
I know you probably don't have it in sign language. Could you lead us to the pledge of allegiance too?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Is there anyone who would like to give it a try and try to learn it?
That's what we're learning.
The oath or the law. Either one. I feel like
That
the
was a
law.
yes. That was a yes.
How about you girls spread out so you're around the table so they can kind of look at that. Spread out. And if you don't know it.
Do you make the choice yet? Or I
Give it
think
a
the
go,
law
right?
is the individual word.
We're gonna go.
Spread out, guys. Go that way.
Stay in the center aisle to keep it distant.
Yeah, center aisle. Move to that way. There you go. There you go. Go far. Some face this way, some face that way. Whatever one you want.
So I found the law easier because there's single movements for each word. So it starts with a scout is. So a scout is,
And that's self-explanatory. Trustworthy was something everyone had trouble with. Your hands go like this, and then go up. Yeah. So trustworthy. Loyal is the same as on my arm in the oath. So you take two fingers like this, and you go loyal. Helpful is you take your hand and your thumbs up like this, and you go helpful. Friendly is you take your fingers and you like jazz fingers, and you go like this, friendly. And you make sure you smile on friendly.
Not that we can see, but that's what you did. Sorry.
Courteous, you take your hand like this and your thumb, and you go in a circle motion on your chest.
What's she doing?
Look at her paws.
What's the matter?
Kind is you take your hands and you go like this. Very simple. What's next? Obedient, of course. You take your hands like this, and you go out. Obedient. Cheerful is somewhat similar to friendly. You smile, and you go like this. Thrifty is you take your thumbs up and your two fingers, and you go backwards. Thrifty. Brave is muscles. Clean is you wipe your hands. And reverent is you cross your fingers. This is R in sign language. And you cross your fingers and you do the same thing that you did for loyal. Reverent.
Very cool.
Do it one more time.
All together.
All together.
All together. Okay.
But close.
A scout is trustworthy, loyal, helpful, friendly, courteous, kind, obedient, cheerful, thrifty, brave, clean, and reverent.
Thank you.
It's not so hard when you break it down.
It isn't.
When you do it real fast, it looks worse than it is.
The person who taught us did it all at once, and I was like, "Whoa, what are you doing?"
That is awesome.
Okay, thank you. You got a camera facing that way. Maybe I don't. You know, I was a Cub Scout here.
I know that.
So I think we gotta give them some sort of cheer.
You
We can't just let them sit down.
Okay, go.
How about a class A clap? It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. That will be inhibited by the mask. Everybody ready? 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. You got an announcement?
I have no announcement, so I'll open it up to the group to have announcements. Hopefully the announcements that we had planned are built into the program tonight. So it's okay. Oh, announcements. As long as they don't sing a song.
You don't have eyes in the back of your head?
No, I'm not a teacher.
The Scout Store in Wilmington is closing Friday forever. So if you got anything planned, you got 2 more days, and I'll be there both days. So we'll be open Thursday and Friday, and then we're shut forever. After paying 3 months of rent with no income, Delmarva decided to cancel the contract with National, cancel the contract, cancel the lease, and move stuff to a property they own in Dover. But they're not moving everything. Right now, they're only moving advancements. And Dover Army Navy doesn't want to pick up the rest of it, so. Right now, both at the Millville store with Carol and at the West Hampton store and at the store in Wilmington, if you buy a top and a bottom, you get 25% off the bottoms, which is a good buy. But it gets even better. For the next 2 days, I just hit 10,000 steps. The next 2 days in Wilmington, we've got all male khaki shirts, 25 to 30% off because they're on clearance. Because we're national, we can do that. So we got given this price, so you could get it. And the reason the ladies is not on sale is because your shirts were just restyled last year. So we're not closing them out. They're closing out the guys, the current guys' shirts, the shirts made similar to yours with the 2 or 3% spandex and whatever else is in there. So, but anyway, we've got shirts marked down. Nothing else on any real closeout.
I have a question for you, Dave, on uniform.
$14.92. Is that a good answer?
That's a good answer, but you don't make it for Jeopardy.
Oh, okay.
I see in pictures neckerchiefs which are real long and come down to here, and then you just tie them.
Right.
And my question is there 2 sizes now of neckerchiefs?
No, we have not adopted. That's the friendship knot. That was a big thing at World Jambo.
Oh, a long time ago, then, yes.
And it was the rest of the world does that as opposed to using slide.
Okay. I thought it was a girl uniform thing.
No.
Okay, it's universal. Universal.
But the leader's neckerchief for Cub Scouts is long enough you can tie the friendship knot very easily.
Okay.
So Rob Garsley is great on the friendship knot. I tried tying it, I screwed up every time.
Where do I find it?
What?
The
Google friendship knot.
Oh, okay. Google friendship knot. Okay.
All right, who's up first on the agenda?
We got some hot topics that we think you. Remember last month we talked about recruitment, and somebody come here and says the website is going to be up and so on and so on. We'd like to talk more about that because the website is up. And who's starting off back there, Dave? Yeah, another Dave. Okay.
Dave S. as opposed to Dave L.
Or Dave Old.
All right. But we're both 49ers.
All right, there's a new website out, the GSC Recruiting Hub. On it, there are 4 basic topics: resources, COVID-19 update, internet rechartering, and recruitment. Talk about resources. Bob Hayes back here has got signs and flyers. If you order them from Bob, fill out the form. See Bob after the meeting. If you see long signs, put them out. Recruiting. When you put your flyers out, guys, think outside the box. Recruiting this year is going to be a pain. You know, we got COVID-19, we got the cost increase, we got the lawsuits, we have places to meet issues. It'll be a real pain to recruit. So think outside the box. Put your flyers in places that you wouldn't normally think of, like maybe daycare centers. Okay, or think about where do kids congregate? Is there a dentist office near you that does kids? Put the flyers there. If you've got a pediatrician, same thing, go to the pediatrician's office, talk to them, see if we can put them up. We want to put the lawn signs up all out by September 23rd, okay? One of the problems we have with the lawn signs in the past is people put way too much information on it. Keep it simple. You want people to be able to read it going down the road. COVID-19. Bob Leonard and I talked about this today. Right now, the state is officially in a stage 2. There's some documentation that says the state is in stage 3. It's not official yet. So right tonight, the council's still in stage 2, which means no overnight camping in our council. Bob is going to check with the council tomorrow and see if they can get that changed. You can,
No matter if you're staying in New Jersey or not,
say it again?
no matter if you're staying in New Jersey or not.
I'm sorry, I didn't-
Yeah, so,
Doesn't matter if you're staying in New Jersey or not.
no, so you can camp overnight, you just can't, at this point, you can't in a Garden State Council camp. So there's several units that have gone to Pennsylvania and camped overnight. There's some that have gone to Monmouth camps and Jersey Shores camps that are open to overnight camping. You're able to do that. There's a couple of requirements. One, make sure you're alerting your charter organization that you're gonna be doing that. And then two, that you've got some kind of safety plan in place for how you're gonna handle tenting, how you're gonna handle food service, how you're gonna handle transportation, and just those kinds of things. Again, making sure we're being socially distant, especially when we're traveling. A bunch of us are in the same car that are not family members. We probably need to wear masks and ventilate the car and make sure we're spaced out.
Yeah. So like I said,
They can't camp overnight, just not at this point, not in our camps. Okay.
and so we're going to check to see if the council wants to update their policy. Right now, the policy was written on July 30th. It said no overnight camping. I don't know how that's going to change Weevil's weekend or Weevil's Saturday. You want to talk about that or?
Not yet.
Not yet. Okay. Recruiting, like I say, guys, this year there's no back to school nights. There's no national night out. So we have to be creative in how we recruit. Cub packs. We went through the list the other day. There are 6 cub packs that have no lions or tigers. There are 4 cub packs that have 60% of their scouts will cross over in the next 2 years, and they have no lions and tigers. So it's kind of scary. So when we go out to recruiting, we need to figure out how to get those young kids back into scouting. If you get asked about the lawsuits, be honest. All those lawsuits happened in the 1970s. There have been very, very few incidents in the last 10 years. We're talking maybe 1 or 2. The ads that you see on TV, BSA is paying for them by order of the court. So be honest, we do know they're there. Well, how can we fix that and make the lawsuit better? Be sure all your leaders have youth protection training up to date. Because we say it in one of the documents that all of our leaders are youth protection trained. It's really hard to do that. When I look at the list today, and we have a leader whose youth protection expired 129 days ago. And it's hard to say all of our leaders are trained. That's about all I have. Again, guys, when you do your signs and recruiting, we're places we haven't gone before. Like I said, I talked to my daughter who runs a daycare center. She said they love to pass out the flyers. Okay? Questions? Tom, I'll get back to you then, sir.
Okay, was there anything more from Bob on that? I guess that answers.
You got anything to add to what Dave said?
Yeah, the only thing I want to add to what Dave said is, we really want to encourage everybody here to attend the webinar that we're doing. Eric Wersch, John Cogg, and myself are going to do tips for recruiting. It's going to be a half hour. It's going to be 30 minutes in and out. It'll be on Wednesday evening, next Wednesday, 7 to 7:30. Dave's going to be sending out the link with a little message about what it is. If you're available, check it out. It's some great ideas on how and when you can start recruiting and where you put signs and the whole thing to maximize your recruiting efforts. So if you got a few minutes, it's literally 30 minutes. So on Wednesday, next Wednesday, please check it out because I think it's going to be a great opportunity to learn some ideas on recruiting.
And I apologize, Bob, you just told me to remind everybody and I completely forgot.
Oh, I was just reinforcing. So no, so this is the first time you're hearing it. I definitely would check it out.
And I'll send out the email first thing tomorrow morning.
Okay, yeah, or something else.
Dave, there's 2 9-minute videos on the Roundtable support page that are not in our program tonight. I can stay 18 minutes after closing and show them if anybody's still sitting here at the closing and says, we want to see those two videos. One's 8 minutes, one's 9 minutes. So we can show them with ideas. Another thing, most school districts have started some sort of email letter to keep everybody informed. Everyone that I've run into that has one of these, they get their scouting groups posted on that, the same as petting out flyers. Because the email doesn't cost per se, so they can put your flyer on as a JPEG on their school newsletter. Pennsboro County Point does not have a letter for my one contact. Have you? Nobody over there has a kid in the school system. They all graduated. Oh well, they wouldn't know. But my other contact who has 3 kids in the school district says, no, there's no letter that comes out. So I gotta work on something else with Bob.
Hey Dave, what was the subject matter of those 2 videos?
Recruiting, there's an 8-minute one for Scout PSA and a 9-minute one for Cub Scouts. Ideas for recruiting. So if you want to hang around for an extra 15 minutes, we'll show them up. And we show the Scout PSA one, you can leave for Cub Scouts.
Okay, how many here use Scout Book? That's not handbook. That's Scout Book before you keep track of everything that Scout Troop or Unit Come Back does. And there's been some changes in that, and we have somebody who's going to tell us about it. And it's Carol James.
That would be me, Carol. Now, let's get rid of my bubbles.
That's awfully nice, though.
I know, it transfixes
Put me to sleep.
my grandchildren, they're just in love with this. Okay, we are on the wrong page. Because I thought Dave was going first. Here we go. There is a whole new log. How many Cub Scout leaders are here tonight? Okay, great. So if you go to Scout Book, there's a whole new, can you hear me? Or I am more than 6 feet away, so I could remove my mask. Should I remove my mask?
Yes, please.
Okay, because I don't have that big a voice, so good. Okay. As a den leader, if you go on to Scout Book, you will find that there is a new login. And see how it says login over there on the left? And then it's circled login as a den leader. This is a change. So often, not just in Boy Scouts, in life, things change. And we roll our eyes and we pound our heads and we say, oh, whatever, gotta change, change happens. Let me tell you, jump up and down, this is exciting. This is such a good change. I can't even, my computer's leaving me. Now I'm
I'm trying to make the picture bigger.
now I'm going to be more than 6 feet away. Okay, this is really exciting for den leaders. If you go to, if you Google what is login as a den leader, it'll take you to this page. You can also find it on help.scoutbook, but you really have to search for it. I find it easier every time I want to find this page to go to Google and hit what is login as a den leader on Scoutbook. And there's a 15-minute video, which I will not show you because that would bore more than half of us. But I'm going to tell you, there's also a PowerPoint, and this is the first slide of the PowerPoint. Now, you've taken away my notes. Oh, hold on. Let me tell you what is included in this. When you have logged on as a den leader, you will find magically all the work of being a den leader has been taken away. And all of your resources are right there, right in front of you, all in one place. You will find the contact information for all of your youth and all of the adults so that you can send them invites to the next meeting and reminders. You can, the people who are there, who attend a meeting will automatically receive credit for that. And the people who did not attend the meeting, you can simply click their names and they will be sent instructions of what they have to do to make up for that DEN meeting. It has all the DEN meetings according to national in an order. And if you're supposed to show a video, the video is right there. You don't have to go anywhere else. Your Scout handbook or Cub Scout handbook is right there. You don't have to go anywhere else. And for me, this is the most exciting because I was never just a DEN leader for one day. And I don't know how many of you have that experience, but I've always had to help out other DENs, no matter what my position was. You can log in as a DEN leader to more than one DEN and switch back and forth between them. This is making life so friendly, so user-friendly for DEN leaders. I can't even tell you. Let's see, what else can you do? Attendances can be credit. There's a resource page that just for Cub Scout resources, leave no trace resources, extra, what are the essential 10, all kinds of resources for Cub Scouts are available to it. I highly recommend that if we have any committee chairs here, that at the next meeting with your leaders, you pull this up. I lost it, didn't I? You pull up this, either the PowerPoint or the 15-minute video is really a pleasure to watch, and have them watch it where it will walk them through how, now the DEN meetings are prearranged because that's up, but it doesn't mean you have to do everything in their order. You can choose the order that you will do it, and it will accept that. So have all of your DEN leaders in a meeting watch this video together so that you all know what the resources are. I am excited. I'm no longer a DEN leader. Crap.
Well, we have to solve that for you.
Yeah, I better not say that too loud.
How do they, well, can you give them that information on what URL they start with to get to that?
As I mentioned, you can go to Scoutbook and you can go to the How page of Scoutbook. But I find it a lot easier because this is a beta page to Google it. I really do. This will get you right into this page if you Google what is log in as a DEN leader. It really is the easiest way to get to this page that's got all the information you need. Any questions? All right, thank you.
Dave, I had your name down with this.
Yeah, my name's down. No, my name's Dave.
What's that?
My name's Dave. Okay. There's been a major change for Cub Scout leader training. This is a 2-minute video. I'm guessing that the same changes are going to come to Boy Scout, to Scouts BSA leader training. By the way, we merged both meetings together. Next month, we will definitely have breakouts for Cub Scouts and Boy Scouts and Scouts BSA. So there's a 2-minute video here. As I find there's the on button.
Scouting program proudly introduces a new online training modules for position-specific scouting members. The training features all positions for pack leadership.
So it's for everybody.
Each position has 3 sections to complete to earn the training patch.
3 sections.
Part 1, before the first meeting. This content covers the basics of Cub Scouting and, based on your position, prepares you for your first meeting.
You got your first meeting.
Before your first outdoor adventure. This section should be taken prior to attending or planning your first outdoor activity.
We're
This
going
section
outdoors.
explains where to find the rules and regulations on Cub Scout outdoor activities and identifies what training is required to conduct overnight events. Part 3 completes the training with topics important for the leader to know based on their position. A leader earns their training patch upon completion of all 3 sections. Training times have been greatly reduced by streamlining content and by directing leaders to where to find detailed information.
2 hours for all the video.
Cubmaster and PAC committee chair training each take roughly 2 hours to complete. PAC committee takes less than 1 hour. Modules once completed stay with the leader, which means you do not have to retake a module to become trained in another position. For example, if you are a trained den leader and you are recruited to serve as the next Cubmaster, you only need to take 1 module that is about 18 minutes to become trained as a
Everything else is the same.
Position-specific training modules are now available at the BSA Learning Center at my.scouting.org.
I have answers.
What's that?
I have answers.
Oh, it's my turn to give the question now? Okay, here it is. Whenever 5 people sit down to do the training together, how do they get credit, each of them get credit for it? Online. You can't do that, is what you're telling me.
Well, you could do that because they changed the trading stuff a couple of years ago, that the key 3 of the unit can give people credit.
Oh,
So
okay.
if 5 people sit down to do it together, and only one of them was logged in, that person will get it on the computer, and then you would have to, if one of those was, the key 3 cannot credit themselves though. The Scoutmaster cannot credit the Scoutmaster position, but the Scoutmaster can credit the committee chair and the core. So the core can credit, you know,
Okay.
right?
Okay.
So that's how you could do 5 people sitting down and do it together. And 5 people doing it in a group, you're gonna get more feedback. It's probably gonna take you longer than 2 hours because you're gonna talk about things. So, but that's a good thing, to get a little interplay and action and stuff. And then the key 3 is allowed to give credit for the training. So I'm assuming pretty soon we'll see the same rollout to the Scouts BSA level, and they'll simplify that. I mean, I won't have to come to Scouting College and teach Scoutmaster Basic anymore. Okay?
Yes.
Who's up?
Next is her and Pidge. Come on down with your disability.
Herb's gonna go first.
Go
Right to the bus. All right, we'll start with one thing. There's a couple advantages you can do with disability awareness. If the wolf comes to care, you have like elective aware care. Then on the Boy Scout side, you can do the interpretership for sign language and or disability awareness merit badge. Yeah. You want me to go first? Yes. Okay. You go up here so I can take this off.
You want to show me?
I am going to steal for you. All right. I didn't bring my glasses because I can't see. Nancy. But I'm going to sit top. So, Dave had asked me to come and talk to the leaders about disability awareness and how to incorporate disability awareness and people with disabilities into the troop more smoothly. He said there's units are having trouble here and there, and we're not talking about it. So the purpose of tonight is to bring about discussion. Let's open it up, have a place to go with our concerns. People tend to feel a little awkward and keep it to themselves when they're struggling with something like how to incorporate a scout with disabilities or even a leader or an adult into the troop. So, been scout leader for 13, 14, forever. And through scouting, I actually came upon my job is I work with mentally disabled adults at a day program, which is a lot like camp. We just go out and have a blast. And getting to talk about my 2 favorite things in the world, my job and scouts together is amazing. They're both things I'm very passionate about. First we'll be talking about more of your physical limitations and your physical disabilities and how to deal with that. I'm going to talk more about what they tend to call the invisible disabilities, where people are saying, there's nothing wrong with that kid, they're just spoiled, they're just being a brat, they're just being lazy, they're just being this, they're just being that. When nothing could be further from the truth. When you have a scout that wants to be part of the group, they want to fit in, they want to be good, they want to be included, but they're going to need support. And that support's going to come from their leaders, the rest of the troop, the other scouts. Some of the examples I've seen myself, Troop 9 has a young man that was born at like a pound and a half. Ian is an Eagle Scout, and I saw Ian's troop as an outsider before he was even involved in the disabled community. And his troop supported him, rallied around him, and had this incredible brotherhood and experience that everybody was together, and they didn't feel like he was holding him back. They didn't feel like that the scout was a detriment to the troop. This scout brought a lot of joy to the troop, brought a lot of pride to the troop, and the scouts that got to lift him up felt stronger and better, and it was just a wonderful experience. So another experience I had was at Camp Roosevelt, and I like to go up to the range and shoot, and it's my favorite thing to do, but I still get lost. My orienteering skills are awful. So I'm wondering, kind of, do I go this way, do I go that? Scout comes up, can I help you? We have this conversation, and he gets me back to camp. See you later. I'm going up to the trading post with my scouts later. I'm like, come on, let's go. And, let me treat you for helping me get back. And he's like, I don't leave camp at night. I'm blind. Okay, so I would have never known. And he works at Roosevelt. He's just having this incredible experience because his troop supports him, and they've gained trust. So one of the biggest things that we as leaders need to do is to make a partnership with the disabled scouts parents, because you're going to need that support. You're going to need that knowledge. And if you don't have trust, it's a conflict. Because my son has learning disabilities. They're pretty profound. And so I know that I'm very protective. And I don't want the stigmatism. I didn't want him to be teased and all that stuff. And there was stigmatism, and he was teased. And he got through it. And it became a non-issue. So if we can get to the point of non-issue, that's amazing. But we need to work with the parents. What can I do? What do you need to do? Now, if you do have a scout that's disabilities are bad enough that the parent should be with them, and that does happen, I would recommend, and I ran this by Dave, that you have that parent be trained as a leader so that they know how to behave on a camping trip. They know what to bring. They're not a liability. Because an untrained adult on a camping trip, it brings the trip down a little bit. So if you can have that adult trained and there as a leader, helping everybody, part of what's going on, helping with their child, and everybody working together, everybody's having a wonderful experience. But the attitude has to come from the adults. Because if the attitudes are like, oh, this kid, the kids pick up on that. The adult's not going to trust you. It's going to be complete conflict. So honesty, helpfulness, trustworthy, loyal, helpful, friendly, courteous, kind is what it takes to help the scouts that need a little more help incorporate into the troop. Now, I wanted to talk about some of the things that you may not understand. Some conditions that kids have that you're going to say, you know, oh, they're misbehaving, why aren't they doing what they're supposed to be doing? And it's hard to understand. If you don't have a child, it's hard to see their perspective. And some of the behaviors can be portrayed as misbehaving. So we're gonna start with ADD. Everybody thinks, oh, ADD is just, they just can't pay attention. Oh, just pay attention. Oh, just work harder. A child with ADD, a person with ADD, we have a handshake. Squirrel. A person with ADD does not have the chemistry in their brain to maintain the appropriate amount of attention. So if they're excited about something, and you hear adults say this all the time, oh, well, when they're doing something they like, they can pay attention. It's because they've had the chemicals in the brain are right there where they need to be. They're excited about what they're doing. Scouts, what better place is there than Scouts for a kid with ADD? So, and children with autism, depending on where they're on the spectrum, it's the same thing. If they're into something and you present it as, this is the coolest thing we're ever going to do, well, guess what? The whole troop is excited. The whole troop is enthused. The good chemicals are there, and the kids are thriving and doing well. So, one thing that does come with ADD and some forms of autism, memory loss. Why does this kid not ever know where his stuff is? Because ADD is an executive function, disability of the executive functioning process, and there's something called working memory deficit, where most people can remember when they're doing 5 or 6 things at a time, what they're doing, and a person with the memory deficit is struggling with 1. So if you have a child on the spectrum or with ADD, and you say, go do this, 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 and this, you're 1 instruction at a time, maybe with some follow through, something following up after that. Patience, a lot of patience. Keep it cheerful. Now, if you have an adult that is yelling and screaming, and what's wrong? You are going to take that good chemistry and bottom it out. For all the boys, or all the Scouts. Done, they're done. Somebody starts yelling, they all go and wander around and bump into each other. And we've all seen it. So, an adult's frustration. So, a Scout is cheerful, not always the easiest thing. Not the easiest thing to be. We have to maintain, we have to keep it going, have to keep the energy up. Everything's all right, guys, you got this. And then boom, they come right back on track. So, autism has, it's just so different. It's different for every child. It's the abilities and problems, they're different for every child. It's so hard. I mean, you can have a child with autism that just excels and loves to be outdoors, and they're getting all this sensory stimulation that they really like. And then you can have another Scout where all the sensory, all the different feels, all the different smells, all the different atmosphere has them withdrawing into themselves and sometimes acting out. You have a Scout who loves it when all the kids are running around being loud and noisy, and he's being loud and noisy, or they're being loud. And then you can have another Scout where that is going to send them into a tizzy. Because with autism, they find there's different levels of noise, sounds, smells, touch that they can handle. And some are sensory seekers, and some are sensory avoiders. So you have two completely different behaviors. Now, if you have a child with one of these disabilities, and they have some kind of assistive technology, whether it be a child that can't write or hear or spell or something, and they need a laptop or some kind of device, you really need to find a way to accommodate that. And whether it be give it to them at a certain time, put it in a certain place. Some children with autism, one of the things that they use as a tool is the little games, because they'll take that sensory overload and put it into the game, and it's a way of managing their behaviors, and it's just a calming, soothing, get them through tool. It's a tool. And as leaders, we tend to want to say, absolutely no electronics on trips. We need to find a way. If there's a child that needs it, there's a child that needs it. And it's hard because our truth is no electronics. Have it in your tent, put it on the DQ, put it in the trailer, and have them go off. But you can't take their assistive technology away from them. It's just, it's hard. Drawing lines, and the other kids are, oh, it's not fair, it's that. They need what they need. I mean, what's not fair is, you know, that they do need it. So, some of the other things you might come across, scouts with conditions like Down syndrome, there are some physical ways you can tell that's not as invisible. But usually happy-go-lucky, they're going to need some intellectual help and some guidance, and the skill levels are going to be a little bit different. But you know, with some support and some accommodations, it's a great program for this population. Cerebral palsy is when a child has a stroke at birth. And once again, the condition can be anywhere from nonverbal in a wheelchair to my niece who's an RN with cerebral palsy. So she's an RN at Jefferson. The early intervention and therapies and all that really help. But if you have, and Herb's going to talk more about, if you have a scout in a wheelchair, you're going to need to accommodate that. And giving your troop the opportunity to support someone, it's going to be more of a gain for your troop than a drawback. Then you have scouts, and you're mostly probably not going to know this because they don't like to talk about it, but they're scouts with learning disabilities. You have some intellectual disabilities. Some scouts have trouble processing. Like you'll say something to a scout, and they'll come back 10 minutes later and say, oh, and answer your question. That's a audio processing disability, and they just need time. They just need a couple minutes to take what you said and put it in order and make it make sense. There's dyslexic, there's all different forms of dyslexia. Dyslexia is the inability to read. Dysgraphia is the inability to write. That's what my son has. There's dysmorphia is when, and my son has some of this too, their body's a little dyslexic. And you'll give them a physical sign and be like someone would be karate and everybody would be doing it, and the whole room would be facing this way, you're keeping this way. So, and without I mean, these are all conditions that are hard for the parents to get diagnosed, let alone be able to explain to you what's going on. And the more the leaders are working with the parents and working with the scouts, and everybody's working together for the good of the scout, everything's just going to be better. Okay, leaders. Now, some scouts with disabilities, especially learning disabilities and ADD, they're going to be treated like the bad kid. Oh, they're a behavior problem. They're causing trouble. They don't listen. They're disobedient. If you work with the scout, what's going on? What's up? I just asked you to do that. Why did you do it? I don't remember. Okay. Or, oh, I got distracted. Help the scout with that. If you take a minute to learn these behaviors and realize, hey, that could be a learning disability, that could be a mental disability, that could be autism, that could be ADD. And just say, hey, this is what we have, this is what we can do to make it better. Then the scout is going to have the opportunity to stay in scouts. Maybe become an Eagle Scout, if they want to. So the more you can keep a scout involved, keep them engaged, keep them in the program, the better the benefit is. I mean, everyone in this room knows the benefit of scouting for our kids. It's amazing. It's amazing. So our scouts with disability, while they may need more support, the benefit is just worth it. I mean, it's just worth it. So let's keep them in scouts. Let's work together to really make that happen. Now, etiquette. Some things you need to do. Like I said, first person language. Not that ADD kid. No, it's the scout with ADD. Or the kid with autism. No, the scout with autism has to. If you just use your name and just, if we could leave that part out, it would be better. But if you need to return, it's person first language. You take the person first, yes.
No, that was a thumbs up. My daughter, the PT.
Okay.
She yelled, not yelled. She spoke strongly with my wife and I.
Right.
Person first language. But
It's-
she learned it.
Yes.
You gotta, if you say the ADD kid, you define that whole person as ADD. If you say the scout with ADD, you're acknowledging first that that is a real person
So,
with a condition.
yes.
You're not defining the person as the condition. That's the big difference when you reverse those words. Yes, he is a person. He deserves all my love the same as I would give anybody, but he has this condition.
Yes. Exactly. Now, some people tend to, they see someone in a wheelchair, they see someone with disability, they tend to speak more loudly to the person, and doesn't help. They're not, unless someone asks you to speak more loudly, just speak to them, speak to the person regularly. I see working with the people I work with, people walk up, hey, how are you? And they go. So, yeah, it's not helpful. When you're working with a scout and they're there with their parent or they're with another character, talk to the scout. If you run into a person, any person with disability, talk to them, not their caretaker or their parent. Acknowledge them. Try and have the patients to get their response. It's just better than having somebody interpret or talk about them in front of them. Like, acknowledge them and talk to them. You know, what do you want to do? And then they'll answer, and then you'll probably have to look at the caretaker or parent to kind of interpret, but look at them when you're speaking. Speak to them, don't speak to their person. If you do have a scout in a wheelchair, their wheelchair, it's basically it's their legs. It's what they use for mobility. Wheelchair, cane, walker, anything like that. Anything anybody's using for mobility. That's part of their legs. You wouldn't walk up to a person and lean on their legs. Don't lean on their walker, don't lean on their cane, don't lean on their wheelchair. If you need to speak to a person in a wheelchair and you can find a chair, that's amazing. You can lean down like this. You can like sit on something, you get down to their level. That's better. Don't lean over them, in front of them. Or just back up one step back. You have a better, you know, you have a more straight line to them instead of going like this over them or leaning on their chair or something like that. We talked about not taking away assistive technology. Just be careful with it because it's a fine line. My son used a computer for everything. I didn't let him take it on trips. He didn't need to write. He didn't have it at summer camp. He had a lot of partials. He'd have to come home and do stuff. Then when kids got to bring phones, he could do stuff on his phone. He could do merit badges and all that stuff. He could look stuff up. And took him 4 years at Roosevelt to get environmental science because they had a written test. So finally, the scout master at the time sets up the written test, sets up a verbal test for him. He goes off and does Paul Bunyan. Has to go back another year for. So, you know, leave everything you do for a scout that they can do for themselves, you're taking away an opportunity. So the more independent you can support someone to be, the better off they are. But leaving someone discouraged and stuck, that's not helping them either. So finding that balance between helping them in a positive way and doing too much, it's so hard. It's so hard, so frustrating. That's why if we're all talking about it and it's just out in the open and it's just a matter of fact, this is what we need to do, it's so much better than trying to keep it quiet and be polite and not hurt anybody's feelings, which is so good stuff, but open up the dialogue. One thing we really need to do is respect the scout's privacy. And we've all done this at camp. Johnny, go take your medicine. Nobody needs to know Johnny's on medicine. If they're having any kind of reminders to go to the bathroom, we need to keep that private. You know what I mean? You can't tell the kids, oh, you guys need to remind Johnny to go use the bathroom. It's not okay. If they need help sleeping at night, let's all rally together, do what you need to do. The less of an issue you make of it, the more comfortable the kid is, the less they need. The better they do, the more they thrive, the more independent they become. So, and the last thing I wanted to talk about, because I know we're probably almost out of time, financial disadvantage. We are going to run into scouts that have real financial disadvantages. We have fundraisers, we have sales, but there are kids you're going to say, oh, well, why couldn't you do that? And they didn't have the resources at home. And not all the kids have the resources at home. And once again, if you can open up a dialogue, what can I do to help? Kids open up. Kids open up. The honesty that if you're willing to support this much, they fly this high. So, And that's it. That's all I have. I'm gonna give this to her.
I'll get my portion that short and sweet. Kind of plan on what Pidge talked about. What's the difference between a scout using an iPad and a service animal? It's kind of one and the same. It's an issue we may not think about. I had a couple scenarios that I was kind of thinking about as we started this. A scout permanently uses a wheelchair and he's to hike when he joins the troop. Do we use that at this disadvantage? Do we count it as hiking miles? What do you guys think? Yeah, the scout, yeah, the wheelchair uses his feet. When it's motorized, we have the scout to push it. Kind of like she was talking about with Troop 9 Ian. Let's lift the scout up with us. Think about that kind of thing. The scout's well on his way to Eagle. He's planning on finishing by the time he is 17 and a half. But at age 17, he's in an automobile accident. He's in the hospital into rehab for 6 months. Cannot participate in scouts. Can he or should he apply for an extension for Eagle? Of course, yes. Yeah. He was on his way, he was doing it. Things happen. So we got to kind of get around and do what we can to help him succeed. And when he does find his new normal, we do our best to try and help. No, a blind scout claims he has completed a strong merit badge. You ask him how he identified constellations. He replied, the scoutmaster punched holes in paper plates. He held them over his head, outside at night, in the right places for the night sky. He used his hands to feel and identify the constellations. Is that acceptable? Exactly. Kind of using that. In a personal relationship with disabilities myself. I have an ambulatory disability. I have no toes, I have a foot. I use this leg brace and a custom orthotic to help me walk. I can't hike as much as others, as fast or long, whatever. We never want to treat these scouts or kind of talk down on them. Be a scout, an adult, whatever. You walk, you hike, do whatever as fast or slowest person. And do your best to make them feel like they're part of the group. When I was at the World Jamboree, I really experienced a lot of that. Scouts would offer anybody would walk with a cane, crutches, whatever. They were really showing that scout spirit. Hey, let me help you. You need a shoulder to lean on. Really awesome stuff. Now, have you folks had any experiences in your units you want to share? How you've helped scout overcome a disability? All right. Mr. Lyons, come on up.
All righty. Thank you. Thank you. Anybody that's been out to Cub Camp the last couple of years has seen TJ running around. And that's, my wife and I work with him and his parents. He has Down syndrome. And he has grown so much this past year. He took him a long time. He could identify all the letters and he could read words, but sentences made no sense to him in this past 2 years. He reads a sentence and he understands it. And it just lit up his face, and he'll sit there and read Bernstein Bear's books like crazy. Do all sorts of other stuff. So we enjoy working with him. And then Delmarva Council last year had a special Eagle ceremony for 2 men. One was in his 60s and one was in his 70s that just finished the Eagle. They're obviously, they've been in structured living. What's the politically correct term for
assisted living?
Assisted living, whatever, for people with mental handicaps. So you can get extension of time to stay a youth. If you get an extension for time to stay a youth, which is different than extension on your Eagle, you have to go through a process to reverse that to become an adult leader. You can't just say, okay, I'm smart now, I understand. You have to go through. So, I tried to do this last month, and I found out that when I muted me, I muted the voice on my video, so that it didn't work. So here we have a youth that wants to be a Cub Scout, and he's all excited. He wants to be a Cub Scout, he wants to be a Cub Scout, and he goes and falls down. Doesn't work. Oh, wait a minute. I know. What do we need? What are we talking about training for tonight? So that we have trained leaders, right? Den leaders or scoutmasters, whatever. This could be adopted for Cubs and Boy Scouts. Now we got the scout, and we have a leader, and they're both excited. Yes, 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 yes. No. Looks like we need a little bit more. This can also be done with a real lashing. Oh, look at that. Who can tell me what the third leg is?
Unit.
No. No. The parents. You've got to get the parents involved. With the parents there helping. Now, some of the parents will be leaders, some of the parents will be in committee, whatever. Once you get the parents involved with the youth, with the leaders, the tripod will stand. How much do we need the parents? Well, let me tell you a story. I metrified this. This was always on a yardstick. I got a meter stick now, moved up in the world. So a meter stick is 100 centimeters long. And if we use 1 centimeter per year to be 100 years old, is something we probably all would love to do, would aspire to. And down here at the first mark, 1 centimeter, child is 1 year old. And he or she just learned to walk and run around the house and crawl and roll. And you're, oh, wow, look at that. He's doing so good. He said, Mama, Dada, everything. And here at 5 centimeters, off to kindergarten at school. And you're excited. He loves school. Oh, school is the greatest thing. And that's also the year he can join Lions, or she can join Lions. I apologize. I get this. I work in the store. I got to talk with people all the time. I mess it up. But so from 5 to 11, Cub Scouts goes through all the things in elementary school. Then at 11, they're off to Scouts BSA and middle school. And then at 14, they're off to high school. From 14 to 18, they're in high school. And then maybe apprenticeships, maybe training, maybe off into service, or maybe to college from here. And then from 22 on, they're adult. They hopefully have left home. They're not living in my basement. My wife and I must have done something right. Both kids are married. Both kids have jobs. Both kids moved out right on schedule. So we did something right. Anyway, let's think about this in reverse. Okay? After they graduate from college, are you going to have any real control on their life? That's right. Okay? While they're in college, are you going to have real control? I mean, you can always threaten to not pay the tuition. Do you have any real control over what they're doing? Are they going to behave without arguing while in high school?
I have 2 high schoolers, nope.
No. So you got a problem here. Okay? Now, if your child is in Scouts, this part is already gone as a minimum if they're a Lion in kindergarten. So what do we have left? And then usually I break this down to just the Cub Scout because I'm talking Cub Scouts, but I've got a mixed group here, so we'll keep all this. This is the only amount of time out of your child's life that you have left to help them. And statistics have shown that children whose parents take an active role working with them and are in Scouts do better, want to succeed. So if you try and do this much and help your child through their whole life, you'll probably fail. But if you can give us this much, and this much depends on who you are. Maybe you want to be scoutmaster. Maybe you want to be the guy that sets up the annual canoe trip, and that's all you do. If your unit's got enough people, we can do that. I know somebody, that was his only job in a troop that had over 100 scouts back in the 60s. But, okay, canoe trips. Or maybe you're the guy that says, I want to do the Boom Boom banquet. I want to do the annual camping trip. Or hey, I'm an accountant, I'll take over the treasury for you. But do this much, and you can really help your child succeed. Try and do this much, you might have failure. And we already discussed the other point. Both of these I have in paper in the back, if you want to trust me. That my wife gets tested every other week so she can stay at where she works. So she's been negative every time. But you're welcome to a sheet. And anything we said tonight, any web links or anything we mentioned will be in Herb's follow-up letter, right, Herb?
Yeah, that's my request.
So,
My favorite communication. Does anyone in the room receive the Old County District newsletter via email? Awesome. If you do not receive it, please let me know. I'll gladly get you on there. The idea is to start communicating more with our units, talking about what are our units doing. We featured our girls. We featured Troop 4 did an awesome lashings thing. The River Heights troop did a flag burning ceremony. Things like that. We want to know what you're doing and share with others so other units might get a great idea. Hey, let's try that. It's really cool. Things like that. We also had a roundtable announcement. And usually a week or so after roundtable, we're going to send out a recap, live recording, and all that fun stuff. Offer web links for our handouts. Everybody gets it. We're trying to do better with communication, giving information out to those who cannot be here. And tonight we're having the live stream via Zoom. It's an attempt to do everything better for us. Thank you, guys.
so this is my college.
That's your dog.
That's the college I went to,
Sounds like a
Valparaiso.
dog food to me.
And I've heard that for 50 plus years.
Well, then I want to keep it up.
But you hear on the news, Notre Dame's got 1,000 cases of COVID. Temple shut down for COVID. I just checked the website for my school. On campus, right now, 4,500 students, 2 active cases.
Okay. We'll check and see what's going on there.
Okay,
Okay,
kids,
now,
listen.
we have been on the virtual networks to do this roundtable. We had one tonight, which is back to the in-person. The next couple months is gonna be back with the virtual, and then we're going to see if we can ask people as we go along, which would you rather do? It might be that we do both like we did tonight if this works out well. We can't really tell until somebody says, what did you do? And gets service information and we find out, yes. Now they can get both. If they can't make it, it's okay. We just hope that somebody still shows up and you don't go for the recording anytime, other times. But anyway, the next one is September, October 2nd, Wednesday, 7 o'clock. Wednesday, 7 o'clock. So that's what it will be. And
Our current plan is virtual.
that means we work, yes. Okay?
Actually, we're planning October, November virtual, and December, which is charter turn-in, probably live. So you can turn in your charter.
We have another late announcement.
Yeah, just a last minute announcement that I apologize, I forgot to mention before. October 3rd, you may have seen this in the knapsack. We're doing a welcome back Scouts PSA Day, where it will be free day, and what we're looking, a couple things.
Thank you for letting us join your meeting, or rather, your virtual meeting tonight. And I'm here to talk about.
How does he know what I'm talking about? Thank you, Dave.
I only have to bring it up so it was ready.
So we're looking for a couple things. So the whole idea is it's going to be a skills day. So we're looking for units that would like to demonstrate a skill. And then those units that just want to go out there and participate. And it'll be kind of a round robin thing where the scouts will go to these various skills throughout the morning. The rifle range will be open, the archery range will be open, and then once we have it, you'll get scheduled, you know, where you're gonna go. There's no cost, but there's always a catch with that. You gotta bring your own lunch. Okay, and that's just kind of a COVID-19 thing. We don't wanna prep the food, so you just gotta bring your own lunch, and we'll spread out for lunch. So the schedule will be, it'll start the registration will be from 8 to 8:45. Around 9 o'clock, we'll get started with an opening ceremony, and then you go for 50-minute classes with 10-minute periods like walk between. Lunch will be from 12:30 to 1:30, and then it'll be 1:30 to 4:30, and the day ends at 4:30 with a closing ceremony. Again, it's just a free charge. If you're interested in showing off the skill, and you can have some kids showing off the skill, and then the other group walking around and rotate, or you can have your senior scouts showing the skill and have your younger scouts going around and learning the other skills. But we're going to do map and compass, knife and axe. We talked about doing fire, building, and stuff like that. If you have a skill that you're really good at, let us know. Also, tomahawk throwing will be one of the thing stations as well.
Where is that located at?
So, I didn't mention that. Okay, I'm sorry. Roosevelt. Sorry.
And then all the details will be in Herb's follow-up letter.
So it's at Roosevelt. If you're interested, just reach out to me and let me know. It's also on the website. There's a place where you can go and register. Because we're just trying to get numbers so we can figure out how to schedule people and move people around the camp. So it's October 3rd. It's just a welcome back Scouts PSA Day because I know a lot of people haven't been doing stuff. And this is a great opportunity to get out, have some skills, be at camp, and enjoy yourself. And for those units that have never been to Roosevelt, which I know, some of you may or may not have, there'll be tours of camp available and things like that. So, Scouts PSA Day, welcome back.
Tom, can I, one more thing? Normally this time of year we start talking about Scout College. We are not going to go back to Pittsburgh School this year. We're not going to be able to get back into school. We are probably going to move Scout College out to Roosevelt. We'll move it maybe to March or April. We want to move it outside again so we go back to teaching real scout skills. We're going to do things like climbing, fishing, and those things back into the curriculum. Right now it's in the planning stage. So if you guys have any ideas or questions or anything that go with it, please give me a shout. Because I'm trying to get all kinds of ideas together. What will work, what won't work. We kind of think that moving back outside will make much more sense. So like I say, if you have questions or ideas or suggestions or you want to help, because this will be on the list for my email. So give me a shout, send me an email. Thank you.
Okay, all right, this is really the last thing.
We called for announcements in the beginning.
I have yard signs in my car, so if you want yard sign for a unit, there's a slip up here, just fill out so I know who I gave them to, but I have them in the car tonight, so if you like them, just see me out in the parking lot and I've got signs. Sorry.
All right, I got the Scout PSA. Anybody who wants to leave, leave. This is the 8-minute video for Scout PSA.